Hello viewers and welcome to another match of Warhammer 40,000 Conquest. My name is Mitch and I am the Hive Tyrant. This is the first of two semi-final games having taken place at the 2015 Conquest LCG Russian National Championships. This is one of 8 separate videos, each sent in by a gentleman named Anton Elizarov, and whichever of these two players ends up winning this match, having taken place after 5 consecutive rounds of Swiss, is going to not only advance to the finals, but will have the opportunity to potentially be crowned the 2015 Russian National Champion. To the right, piloting Eldorath Starbane, we have a fellow named Igor Treskunov, and to the left, playing as Ragnar Blackmane, we have Vasily Gudkov. Looks like Eldorath is beginning the game in possession of our initiative token, and his first deploy action is going to be positioning a copy of Void Pirate to planet number 5. 1 cost, 1 command icon, plus 1 card bonus, and that deploy is somewhat mirrored by our Ragnar player throwing out a Rogue Trader to planet number 4. Another 1 cost, 1 command icon unit with instead a plus 1 resource bonus, but our deploy actions are coming fast and furious. At planet number 4 for Eldorath, we've got a 1 cost copy of Bealtan Guardians, 2 command icons, 1 attack, 1 hit point, which allows it to nicely trump the 1 command icon associated with that Rogue Trader, potentially winning Eldorath a couple of cards. At planet number 5, we've got a 1/1 for 1, plus 1 command icon ranged keyword Rattling Deadeye, which happens to block off the command icon associated with that Void Pirate. And at planet number 1, looks like we see our first combat unit of the game. It's going to be the 3-cost signature army, Starbane's Council, a 3/3 for 3 with a command icon, and which gets a plus 2 attack value bonus whenever it happens to be attacking an exhausted unit. Also at planet number 1, instead for Ragnar, another 3-cost unit, we see the unique Veteran Brother Maxos, 2 command icons, 2 attack, 3 hit points, and as a combat action, you can pay the printed cost of a Space Marines faction unit in your hand in order to put that into play at that same planet. Also at planet number 1, looks like we see another formidable Eldar faction combat unit. It's going to be the 2-cost Warlock Destructor, 1 command icon, 3 attack, 4 hit points instead, and the forced reaction where, at the beginning of your deploy phase, you either have to invest an additional resource in that unit, or otherwise you have to discard it. Both of our players have decided where exactly they want to send their warlords. Looks like Eldorath arrives at planet number 1, he ends up exhausting Veteran Brother Maxos, and at planet number 2, Ragnar Blackmane makes his arrival. So, planet number 1 is going to be a card and a resource to the right for Eldorath. Planet number 2 is going to be a card and a resource for Ragnar. Nobody is going to win either a resource, well, nobody's going to win the resource associated with planet number 3, and planet number 4 is indeed going to be 2 cards to the right for Eldorath. Planet number 5, thanks to that Rattling Deadeye blocking off that Void Pirate, no player is going to end up winning command at that planet. We're going to end up seeing battles at planets number 1 and 2, and just keep in mind for subsequent command phases, we might see Foresight relocate Eldorath, we might see Blackmane's Hunt relocate Ragnar. Eldorath always exhausts units upon arriving to a planet, and Ragnar, should he show up to the same planet as sits an enemy warlord, he's going to be able to pick an enemy army unit, or token, or synapse, or warlord unit to deal 2 points of damage to, or that same player may trigger Primal Howl, an event which affords him the ability to draw 3 additional cards. Looks like Veteran Brother Maxos, despite being exhausted, is going to take the opportunity to toss an Honored Librarian onto the table, so a 3-cost 4 attack value unit with 2 hit points and a command icon, irrelevant combat, but so long as you control a unit at that planet not named Honored Librarian, then it cannot be targeted directly by attacks. Starbane's Council takes a swing for a modified total of 5 directed toward Veteran Brother Maxos, the only currently eligible target for attacks, but the timely interjection of a Frostfang is going to mitigate that damage down to 2, so Veteran Brother Maxos survives, and the Honored Librarian is going to be able to return fire. Note, Eldorath holds initiative, and he has a Warlord present at that planet, but is the Honored Librarian going to be able to kill that Warlock Destructor? The answer is is no. We see a discard of the signature event Foresight, which normally allows Eldorath to relocate from planet to planet, discarded as a shield. Therefore, that Warlock Destructor is potentially going to be able to deal out a killing blow to that Honored Librarian, because we see Eldorath swinging for a grand total of 1, successfully kill Veteran Brother Maxos. Looks like our Space Marine forgoes his ability to take a combat turn. The Warlock Destructor swings to deal a modified 1 point of damage to that Honored Librarian because of the discard of a Drop Pod Assault, and we come to the end of a combat round. Eldorath decides to stay with all of his units, and our Space Marine retreats with his. So that is going to be our first planet captured by our Eldar player. That is going to be Taurus. Normally, if you win a battle at that planet and you control fewer units than does your opponent, you're able to draw 3 cards or generate 3 resources, but considering our Eldar player's got 5 units and Ragnar has only got 4 units, he's not able to benefit from that ability. But as you clearly saw, Ragnar wins a battle entirely uncontested at planet number 2. That allows him to trigger Planum, and therefore he relocates his Honored Librarian from HQ to Planum. And now that we're going through our HQ phase, both players pick up 4 resources, 2 cards, the initiative token passes over to Ragnar, and then the Honored Librarian readies at planet number 1. So Ragnar's currently got the initiative. Looks like Eldorath has picked up 1 red and 1 green planet type icons, so if he wins planet number 1 and 2, that could be the game as early as that for Eldorath, or instead, if Eldorath wins at planet 2 and planet number 4, then he could win the game instead through those red material type icons. But yet again, we've seen more additional deploy actions. At planet number 1, that's going to be a Blood Angels Veterans played out by your Space Marine player, 3 cost, 3 attack, 3 hit points, 1 command icon, and a reaction whenever it's assigned damage and it is ready. You prevent the first point thereof. At planet number 4, we see a promotion now on that Void Pirate, so the Rattling Deadeye is no longer alone, going to be able to shut down the +1 card bonus associated with that unit. And Eldorath currently is winning a 2-card bonus at planet number 3. He's potentially winning an additional 2 cards at planet number 4. And Eldorath threw out another copy of BL10 Guardians to planet number 5, which also has a 2-card bonus associated with it. So Ragnar's going to have to start throwing out some significant economy units, or use his Warlord to kill off some of those just cheap units of our Eldar players, because he is looking to get absolutely massacred in regard to card draw. And if Eldorath has a lot of cards in hand, then things could go quickly all the way bad for you as a Space Marine. But looks like both of our players are going to send their respective Warlords to planet number 1. Ragnar's going to be able to pick a unit to deal damage to, but because he's a clever player, note, he's in the semifinals of the Russian National Championships, of course, he's triggering Primal Howl prior to using Ragnar's reaction here. So Ragnar does Primal Howl. He adds 3 cards to his hand. Some of those may be Crushing Blow. Then we go over to the other player to take a reaction. That's going to be Eldorath exhausting that Honored Librarian. Ragnar's ability must have pinged off on that Slith Mercenary, so that 2/2 for the cost of 1, albeit with 2 command icons, is killed. And that brings both of our players command struggle-wise tied at planet number 1. 1 command icon equals 1 command icon. Nobody wins any bonuses associated with that planet because those Slith Mercenaries died. Potentially, if Eldorath would have thrown out a shield and Crushing Blow wouldn't have been a thing, Eldorath could have potentially won himself an additional card and an additional resource. But planet number 3 is going to be 2 cards to the right for Eldorath. Planet number 4 and 5 are going to be a grand total of 4 cards to the right for Eldorath. So he is just absolutely killing it. But let's see if our Space Marine can manage to pick apart some of these powerful Eldar faction units. I can only imagine that Eldorath probably drew a glut of shields with those 6 cards that he drew, and our Space Marine didn't actually attain anything in regard to command, so that about sucks for him. Our Space Marine has just 1 available resource, so Eager Recruit could potentially be a thing to drop in and deal 2 points of damage, and maybe our Space Marine player has Crushing Blows in hand so that he can ensure that the Blood Angels Veterans and or Ragnar is going to be able to kill off that Starbane's Council. So let's see what exactly happens. Ragnar takes a swing. We see promotion discarded as a shield. Therefore, that's just going to be 2 total points of damage dealt to the Starbane's Council. And I'm not exactly sure how Ragnar managed to deal 2 points of damage if we saw that discarded as a shield, unless we're not exactly sure about what we're going to be spending. But let's see. I'm not seeing a crushing blow or anything like that, and Ragnar just has the 2 printed attack values, so perhaps that's a bit of a mistake, or perhaps I'm missing something obvious, because Ragnar's ability clearly killed off that Slith mercenary. But it's now going to be our Eldar player's opportunity to attack. He's got that Starbane's Council, which could swing at the Blood Angels veterans, so it's going to be attacking for 3, and the Blood Angels veterans naturally prevents 1 point of damage, so that is just going to be 2 points dealt to the Blood Angels veterans. Of course, there's no nasty surprise that an Eldar player can do to modify that damage. The Blood Angels veterans takes a swing, going for that guaranteed kill. That's going to be 1 copy of Starbane's Council gone, and I can't see any resource tokens for Eldorath, so Gift of Isha is not yet going to be an issue. The Blood Angels veterans is not killed by Eldorath Starbane, thanks to the timely discard of a copy of Blackmane's Hunt, so now that leaves both of our players with just 1 additional copy of their signature event in their respective decks. Foresight, of course, allows Eldorath to move to any planet, whereas Blackmane's Hunt just allows Ragnar to move to an additional planet. And considering just how many command phase reactions both of those warlords have, things could get pretty complicated indeed, so we're going to have to make sure to mind initiative. But we come to the end of a combat round. Looks like Ragnar is potentially going to be staying with all of his units, the Beaten to Hell, Blood Angels veterans, and Eldorath, it looks like he is deciding to also stay. That Honored Librarian, if it attacks for 4, even a 2 shield value card is not going to be able to spare that copy of Starbane's Council with even as much as a single crushing blow. Note, the healing planet Iridial is sitting on the tabletop, so I suppose Ragnar and Eldorath can be a little bit daring in regard to how much damage they want to take, and if Eldorath doesn't have any units in his HQ, then he could potentially safely commit to Iridial. But if he loses that first planet, yes, looks like Eldorath is going to be retreating. That is going to be Planum, captured by our Space Marine, so he's going to get a blue technology icon and a green strongpoint icon, and he's additionally going to have an opportunity to relocate one of his units to whatever planet he would like. So he could move his Blood Angels veterans to planet number 2, he could try to pick up that 3-color planet, put him 1 green, 1 blue away from winning the game, and if he does that, his opponent is guaranteed to have initiative unless Ragnar shows up at that planet as well, and then the Blood Angels veterans would be able to guaranteed shave off a point of damage, and then you could shield as well, and then they could attack. But instead, we see that Honored Librarian move to planet number 1. We're going to see another HQ phase. At present, that's going to be 2 cards and 4 resources for either of our players. The initiative token is once again going to bounce to our Eldar player's control in just a moment, and now I can only imagine that either Ragnar is going to be showing up at planet number 1, or our Space Marine player is going to end up throwing some units to planet number 1 just to make sure that that Honored Librarian can't be picked off directly by an attack. Eldorath has still got just, a completely Hail Warlord, so he's fine showing up in combat. Space Marines, kind of their hallmark, are expensive but powerful units, and Eldorath does absolutely great in being able to exhaust those. The card pool at this time did not contain any of the Planetfall cycle cards, so I could only imagine how, Eldorath's job would be even easier if he had Mind War and some other tricks at his disposal. But regardless, Eldorath has thrown out another copy of the monumentally high value card Warlock Destructor at planet number 1, a 3/4 body for the cost cost of 2 is just ridiculous. That Honored Librarian is a 3-cost 4/2, so Warlock Destructor is just a hell of a card, and especially considering Eldorath has got initiative, if Eldorath shows up at planet number 1, he'll be able to tap out the enemy Honored Librarian. He'll pick up another couple relevant planet type icons which contribute to his victory condition, and if he is to do so, he could win through planet number 1 and planet number 3. So we'll definitely have to see what happens there. Our new 5th planet, by the way, is going to be Ossus 4, the Steel 1 resource planet. We've actually seen scarcely few resources on the board, and therefore it's just going to be critically important for our players to try to potentially win command at that planet, because it's got 2 resources associated with it, and if your opponent has all the cards in the world, but they don't have the resources to play out a bunch of units, then it's entirely possible you might steamroll them. We've got another copy of Honored Librarian sitting at planet number 1, which to me says Ragnar is going to be showing up at planet number 1, just because if he doesn't, you're going to be able to kill off those Honored Librarians through conventional attacks. But both of our players are deciding where exactly they want to send their warlords. We see a promotion put upon that copy of Rogue Trader at planet number 2, which could potentially allow Ragnar to win some cards. Planet number 5, we've got a copy of the 2-cost Tactical Squad Cardenas, 1 attack, 1 command icon, 3 hit points, and area effect 1, but Eldorath is going to show up at planet number 1. He's got initiative, therefore it's going to be his opportunity to trigger a reaction first. That's going to be that Honored Librarian exhausted. Note, now, Ragnar having shown up, he's only got 1 command icon in hand. Ragnar deals 2 points of damage to the Bloodied Reavers, but the discard of an Empower preserves that unit, and that means 2 command icons results in Eldorath winning 1 resource at planet number 1. Planet number 2, 3 command icons on that Rogue Trader is going to beat. The Bealtan Guardians printed 2, so that's going to be 2 cards and a resource to the left for Ragnar. Planet number 3 is going to be a grand total of 2 cards to the right for Eldorath. Planet number 4, 2 cards for Eldorath, and planet number 5 looks like our Space Marine is doing okay in regard to command. He wins a couple of resources thanks to that planet. Planet number 1, Eldorath maintains initiative because both warlords are present. That Bloodied Reavers is going to be a 2-attack, 2-hit point unit with a command icon for the cost of 2, but provided a warlord is sitting at the same planet as a warlord friend unit, it ends up getting a +2 attack value bonus, and therefore it is going to be swinging akin to an Honored Librarian, albeit for 1 resource less. And what exactly is it going to be attacking? Is it going to be trying to kill off the Blood Angels veterans? The answer is yes, and it is going to succeed in doing so. So that's going to be a killing blow, and goodbye Blood Angels veterans. That reaction doesn't do a whole hell of a lot. When the Blood Angels veterans is already exhausted, we see our Honored Librarian, the only one left unexhausted. It's going to direct its own attack at the Bloodied Reavers, which is an interesting choice, but I suppose they want to be going for guaranteed kills. That's going to be the Warlock Destructor next to attack, and its only eligible target is going to be Ragnar Blackmane. So let's see. Are we going to see a shield card discarded? We've already seen a discard of 1 Drop Pod Assault as a 2-value shield card. We've seen a Primal Howl used. We've yet to see Indomitable. We've yet to, well, we have seen Frostfang, but it looks like the answer is going to be no. That's going to be Ragnar just taking that damage to the face. And now Ragnar himself is going to have an opportunity to attack. Will he attack the Starbane's Council? Does he have a Crushing Blow in hand? That is going to be the question. So, what is your target, Ragnar? I only wish we had those octagon arrows. Looks like that is going to be another copy of Empower discarded, I believe. So that will be that unit remaining in play, whatever the target was. Eldorath takes a swing. Ragnar is now sitting at 3 total points of damage, and I wonder how many Indomitables our Space Marine has in hand. I know I spied at least 1, but if both of our players are deciding to stay, this is potentially going to be a large volume of damage being thrown out to Ragnar. He's only got 3 hit points remaining. The Starbane's Council, well, so let's do it as it is. The Warlock Warlock Destructor swings for 3, 1 resource goes into funding an Indomitable. That attack is going to be prevented. Now, the Honored Librarian takes a swing. I can only imagine it's going to be at the Starbane's Council. That's going to be a Gift of Isha discarded as a shield, because, note, resources are a tremendous commodity. We do not see a copy of Crushing Blow, so that Honored Librarian does not manage to seal the deal. We see a copy of Primal Howl discarded, so that's going to be another point of damage dealt successfully to Ragnar by that Starbane's Council. It's not going to be able to use its attack value augmenting ability because it can't target those Honored Librarians, and Ragnar himself is going to take a shot at that Starbane's Council. He's potentially going to be able to finish off that unit. Our Eldar player has drawn a mountain of cards throughout this game, so I can only imagine he's perhaps got some additional shield cards in hand, but the real question is, does he have a 2-value shield card to preserve that unit, and more importantly, is it going to be worth the investment of throwing away another 2-value shield card like Empower or Gift of Isha just to spare that unit? Looks like, whatever the case may be, the answer is somehow going to be no, so the Starbane's Council is going to be killed, and now it's just going to be Eldorath left at that planet. Note that our Space Marine faction player has got 2 resources. I don't know if it's necessarily going to be tremendously likely that we would see a drop pod assault to try to punish Eldorath, but I definitely wouldn't think it's out of the question to see a drop pod sprung just to kill off that Warlock Destructor before it has an additional opportunity to attack. Looks like Eldorath uses his combat turn to retreat, and that's going to be the Honored Librarian taking a swing, and that is going to be a dead Warlock Destructor. So Yavvarn is going to be captured. That is going to be yet another planet for Ragnar. Ragnar moving ever closer to potentially winning the semifinal match, and that is potentially going to be Vasily Gudkov having the opportunity to be crowned as the 2015 Russian National Championship, but he's not won this yet. He's got 2 green, 2 blue icons, therefore, if he's going to be able to win our current first planet as we move through an HQ phase here, that is going to be the game for him. Both of our players going to acquire a total of 4 resource tokens and 2 cards. Looks like the initiative token once again bounces to Ragnar, and at planet number 1, he throws a monumentally powerful unit. It's going to be yet another one of those tactical squad Cardenas Sizz sitting at that planet, so another area effect 1 unit sitting opposite a copy of Bealtan Guardians, and now yet another Warlock Destructor. So Eldorath getting a little bit lucky and digging through his deck, finding those units. It may have something to do with the fact that his card sleeves are far more tasteful than Vasily's, just that he's getting a superb luck of the draw there, or it could just be the simple fact that he's drawn 6 cards a time or 2 on a couple different rounds. But let's see what Eldorath can do to try to prevent himself from losing the game. This is going to be a pivotally important planet. It's going to be Elowith. If our Eldar player ends up winning this planet, he could look at the top 3 cards of his deck, add one of those to his hand. Eldorath ends up throwing out yet another really formidable combat unit to planet number 1. It's another copy of a likely to be 4 attack value Bloodied Reavers. And planet number 1, we see a new unit. We see the 10th Company Scout, 1 cost, 2 attack, 1 hit point, 1 command icon, but importantly, it's a Space Marine faction unit, so it's eligible for Crushing Blow, Drop Pod Assault, Indomitable, all number of different effects. We see a second 10th Company Scout. Now our Eldar player is probably the one wishing he had area effect 1. We also have a Rattling Deadeye positioned at planet number 1, another one of those 1 attack value ranged units. Take a little bit of a pot shot at something, perhaps kill off that copy of Bealtan Guardians, and it looks as though both of our players are going to have to decide what planet they want to send their warlords to. I can only hope for our Eldar player's sake that he's come across another couple copies of Gift of Isha, and what really sucks about this is he's not really going to be able to pull in the resources necessary to fund expensive events like Gift of Isha or like Empower. I can only imagine that Ragnar is going to be showing up at planet number 1. Eldorath is going to want to show up to planet number 1 to exhaust, presumably that copy of Tactical Squad Cardenas, because if he does not, that's going to be 1 area effect damage dealt out to any of his units, and if you don't shield that damage, you could potentially use Crushing Blows to kill something something like that Bloodied Reavers, but both of our warlords are going to end up being sent to planet number 1, and it's all going to come down to this. We did not see Yavahn triggered last turn for players to put their units into play. The first reaction to be resolved is going to be Ragnar showing up. He picks an enemy unit, namely that Dark Eldar common army unit, the Bloodied Reavers, to take 2 points of damage. Now Eldorath is going to have to dig deep. What exactly do you want to discard? He discards a copy of Gift of Isha because he knows he's not going to be able to win. Well, he's not going to be able to play it. He doesn't have a sufficient number of resources because planet number 1, Ragnar has far more command icons. That's going to be 2 cards and a resource for Ragnar. Planet number 2 is going to be 2 cards in total to the right for Eldorath. Planet number 3 is also going to be 2 cards to the right for Eldorath. Planet number 4, though, is going to be 2 resources for our Space Marines. So Eldorath's ability ends up tapping out that copy of Tactical Squad Cardenas, and it looks like I spoke too soon. Foresight is going to move Eldorath away from planet number 1, so Eldorath is actually going to show up at planet number 4. He's going to tap out that copy of Tactical Squad Cardenas, and therefore he's going to earn 2 resources for himself, which he could use to fund an effect like Gift of Isha if he's fortunate enough to have drawn his 3rd and final copy. So to the left, we've got enough resources for Drop Pod Assault. To the right, we've got enough resources for Gift of Isha, but not Empower. And now what exactly are we going to see? That Rattling Deadeye is going to be able to take a shot. There are scarcely few Eldar units sitting at that location. Those 2 Honored Librarians are going to be incredibly difficult to get to because there are so many bodies on the table, and even without that Tactical Squad Cardenas, I'm not sure if the Eldar player is going to be able to do much, if anything, to withstand so much withering fire. That Rattling Deadeye looks like it took a pot shot at something. We saw a discard of it looks like Subdual to block off that damage. Kind of an unusual event to see there. Something which I believe allows you to return a support or attachment to the top card of your opponent's deck. I could certainly be wrong. But that's going to be a 10th Company Scout taking a swing. That is going to be a dead copy of Bloodied Reavers. Now things are looking all but insurmountable for our Eldar faction players. So what exactly are we going to see? The Bealtan Guardians is going to take a swing, so that 1 attack value unit attacks something. I could only imagine it's going to be that unexhausted copy of the 10th Company Scout, but it's going to be in vain because Promotion is discarded. 10th Company Scout takes a swing. That's going to be a copy of dead Bealtan Guardians. Now that Warlock Destructor is going to take a swing at, is it going to be Ragnar? It is going to be Ragnar, but that's going to be a Primal Howl discarded as a shield. Therefore, Ragnar just takes 1 point of damage, and that is going to be the GG. Good game. Well played to both of our players, but congratulations to Vasily Gudkov for advancing to the finals of the 2015 Russian National Championships. Unfortunately, Eldorath, as played by Igor Treskunov, was not able to overcome just the onslaught of that Space Marine there. Ragnar was able to use his ability, round after round to pick off units to keep putting on the pressure, and even though our Eldar faction player was able to draw an absurd number of cards, he just did not have the resources necessary to put units into play to oppose Ragnar, and Ragnar was able to soak enough damage that he could protect those Honored Librarians. And even though we saw a lot of Starbane's Councils, a lot of Warlock Destructors, a lot of really beefy, powerful Eldar units, if you let those Honored Librarians kill off all your stuff, then there's not really too much you can do to win. But regardless, thank you so much for watching. Look forward to the next match in which we figure out whom else is going to advance to the finals. It's going to be Vasily Gudkov as Ragnar Blackmane versus an as of yet unknown player. But as always, thank you so much for watching. Thank you to Anton Elizarov for providing me with this footage and giving me the opportunity to commentate this game. But as always, if you enjoyed this content, be sure to hit that like button and consider subscription to this channel if you've not done so already. If you are already subscribed, I would encourage you to share this content. More people will see it, more people might try Conquest LCG, they might join our community, and of course, we continue to send the message to Fantasy Flight Games, telling them to continue to support this fantastic product. If at any point point you'd like to get in touch with me, I would encourage you to do so through Facebook or on Twitter. And if you ever feel inclined to help support the Hive Tyrant, to help me in covering some of my file hosting and operating expenses, I would be absolutely honored were you to make a contribution or donation to my Patreon. But as always, thank you so much for watching, and once again, be sure to check back in again soon for much more Conquest LCG content to come.